Today I'm going to try my best to answer the question, is Modern Warfare better than Cold War? Now, I've been an avid Modern Warfare player since its debut back in 2019, and I even ventured on the long and brutal grind for Damascus, eventually completing it and feeling like a drained, mindless zombie no longer knowing what to do with his life. But nonetheless, I've put hours and days into this game and just feel qualified to express my opinion on how much I enjoy it in comparison to Cold War. And first things first, I gotta talk about movement. Good movement mechanics in an online FPS are absolutely key to feeling in control of your character whilst playing, and it overall brings a smooth experience to the competitive genre. In my opinion, the movement in Modern Warfare is absolutely unmatched in comparison to Cold War's more stiff and rigid style. In Modern Warfare, I feel a sense of control over my gameplay that lets me jump peek, slide cancel, and the feeling of inertia carries over from one movement to the next. I guess what I'm trying to say is the style of movement in Modern Warfare feels much more fluid, whereas Cold War comes off a bit more arcadey and stiff. Due to this as well, I think the ability to make good plays in Cold War is much harder in comparison to Modern Warfare. And along with that, I want to discuss the graphical fidelity amongst both these games. My answer in this category may actually surprise some of you, but I'll explain my whole thinking process in full depth. I just don't think it's fair to say that one of these games genuinely looks better than the other, because realistically they both look great to the average video game player, and each game is shooting for a different overall style. Modern Warfare's main goal in development and at launch was to look and feel as realistic as possible while maintaining that same Call of Duty feel. They achieved that, and the game looks fantastic. I feel like it's very easy to put both of these games side by side and just plain and simply say Cold War looks worse. But the point I'm trying to make is Cold War was never shooting for this realistic-esque style that Modern Warfare achieved. Cold War was always designed to be more arcadey and less realistic, and it fits the style that it's striving for perfectly. Textures are smooth, not overly cluttered, and easy on the eye. Because they've both fully achieved their preferred style of design and equally look great in their own aspect, my opinion is that the graphics category has got to be tied. And up next, I have to discuss the shooting mechanics and the overall gunplay of these two games. The number one thing that defines a first-person shooter is gunplay. If the gunplay is poor and it doesn't feel satisfying to the player, it's going to be hard to keep a stable player base. And when I shoot a weapon in Modern Warfare, I genuinely do feel the power behind the weapon, even though it's just a mesh of pixels on my screen. And when I switch from one weapon to the next, the difference between both of them are insanely drastic between animations, sound effects, and the feeling of power. As I play Cold War, I sadly don't get that same feeling or satisfaction nearly as much. Switching from weapon to weapon, it's definitely harder to notice and feel a change. They all begin to feel like a blur of the same with maybe minor differences. And as I shoot in Cold War, I don't feel that same level of power behind my weapon as I do in Modern Warfare. The category of gunplay and weapon satisfaction is easily taken by Modern Warfare, and I really don't think it's close. The last and final thing I want to touch on, and arguably the most important, is general enjoyment. Which game do I feel that I have more fun with when I hop on it after a long day? Now, I often find myself getting overly mad at Cold War after a 20+ minute play session. I notice more often than not I get frustrated at certain death scenarios that I felt were unfair or that I should have won. I feel as I have more moments in Black Ops that make me say, how the f did he kill me? And then lead me to get tilted. But as I play Modern Warfare, that same feeling of frustration is non-existent. At times I'll lose a gunfight, but when I lose, it personally doesn't feel like it was to some BS. I understand my fault in the scenario and more or less accept it. In entirety, I have to say that my subjective opinion is that Modern Warfare is the better game. With much more fluid movement and way more satisfying gunplay, I don't feel much need to ever really play Cold War unless I'm looking for a more arcade-based gameplay. And with all that being said, write down in the comments what you think about these two games. I'm super curious to know what others have to say, because there is no right or wrong answer. It's all personal, subjective, your opinion and everything. And thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe for more content, because I want to make some friends on here and build a fun little community where we can all hang out and talk. Nonetheless, have a great day, stay happy, stay healthy, and peace out.